What's up, everyone? In this video, we are going to cover Upwork for beginners in maybe 2022. This is going to be a video for those who are looking to get started on Upwork or as a freelancer, and you want my opinion on what's it going to take to get a foot in the door, to get that first gig, and then maybe what's it going to take from there to bump up to the mid-tier range, and what are the pricing and things that you can expect around that. And then finally, moving up into the highest levels of Upwork and the highest rates and the ability to build those high rates consistently. What is that going to take as of right now, as of 2022? So if that's something that you want to know about, stick around. Hey minions, if you're new to the channel and you like what I have to say, then be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell so you never miss a video. Only do this if you like what I have to say and if you want to hear more about freelancing, entrepreneurship, and personal world domination. For those who don't know me, I'm Lex DeVille, and on this channel we help you escape corporate prison and build a freelance empire. We share lots of freelance and Upwork tips and tutorials, so if you're new, consider subscribing. In my previous video, I talked about PayPal. You can see that one up here, and why you should never use PayPal, why you should escape PayPal while you can, why you should send most of your money directly to your bank account, especially from Upwork. Send it straight to your bank account if at all possible. Recently, I've been using Hello Bonsai, testing that system out. I migrated there from my PayPal invoicing. It's been pretty good so far, and I'll leave a link to that in the description below. It'll be an affiliate link, of course, but I am using that. I billed about $650, I think, in just the past couple of days through Hello Bonsai, and it's smooth sailing because it comes with contract templates, so you can automatically send out contracts to clients. You can send out invoices, they view it, it lets you know when they've viewed it, and it lets you know when they've signed it, and then they digitally sign all that. So they get the invoice by email, check it out, it lets you know they saw it, lets you know they paid it, send over the contracts automatically, they view it, they sign it digitally, send it back to you, and you've already signed it, and they've got templates for the contracts and all that stuff. Really cool, really smooth process so far. Now, today we are going to talk about Upwork for beginners in 2022. You are just now starting on Upwork. You're trying to get a foot in the door. You're trying to get started. Where do you start? How do you start? This first step, of course, is to get approved on Upwork. We're not going to talk about that here. Some of my older videos talk about getting approved on Upwork, and I think that they're still pretty relevant. So you can find those on the main channel page if you want to check those out. There's kind of 3 levels to Upwork. That's the way I look at it. There's kind of 3 levels of freelancing on this platform. And those levels are basically a beginner level, an intermediate level, and an expert level. And Upwork breaks down freelancers into these different categories as well. So these are kind of based on their own categories. So at the beginner level, this is kind of when you have just jumped onto Upwork, and it should take place within your first 1 to 2 months. You should be in the beginner level ranges. Maybe I would say maximum of 2 months. Sorry, I'm moving the camera around a little bit. Maximum of 2 months for you to be considered a beginner. And after that, you should be moving into an intermediate stage where you are increasing your pricing, taking on more clients, starting to stabilize a little bit, and probably should be seeing pretty good monthly income amounts for yourself, or at least starting to get to that point. And then the expert level is kind of from 6 months onward. So everything after 6 months. And 6 months might seem like not very long for some of you who are just starting into freelancing at all. You've just started with whatever skill you're doing, and I'm telling you that within 6 months you should be an expert, or you should be at the expert level. The thing is, there are, first of all, no rules with freelancing. There is no set structure. Upwork doesn't define what is intermediate versus what is expert. There's no rules on that. So these are just terms that Upwork has set, that freelancers set for themselves, and that I've set here. Let's talk about level 1. So this is going to be the beginner level. This is you've just jumped onto Upwork. You've got whatever skill you've got, and I'm going to tell you in just a little bit why you don't need to be an expert in your skill necessarily to be considered an expert level person or freelancer on Upwork. But level 1 is going to be that 1 to 2 months price point. So what are you going to do to get started, to get a foot in the door? Right now, you have no feedback, you have no reviews, you don't have a JSS, you don't have top rated status, you don't have anything probably. You probably barely have a portfolio up. And you need to attract clients. So there's kind of let me make sure I have that right. 3 things that I think are really important for you that are going to be ways that you're going to attract clients when you have nothing. You haven't built any amounts. You have zero proof of yourself as a freelancer. So the first thing that I think is going to attract clients to you is going to be operating with a high degree of competence. Competence is super, super important whenever you are at your beginning stages. And before I get to competence, I should note that most of this is based on the idea that you are going to be billing low rates when you start. Now, the more competence you have, maybe the higher rates you can secure, but you're making it harder for yourself when you start out with higher rates, in my opinion. I always recommend people start out $5, $10, get that first gig, get some good feedback, and we'll talk more about that. But if you are competent, it's going to attract clients because there's a lot of unskilled freelancers who do not display a high degree of competence, and so they look like amateurs, they look like they don't know what they're doing, they look like they're not worth very much money. You need to be someone who does not look like that. And the way you're going to do that, there's many different ways that you can demonstrate your competence, but things like building out your full profile. You should have a complete profile. It should be built out as much as possible. When you write your bio, you should take some time to do good work on your bio, put some thought and effort into it, talk about the client and their needs, maybe even target a specific niche. Those are all things that might help you look competent. Adding portfolio pieces, even mock-up portfolio pieces that you've done that weren't for paid work or anything like that can be a little piece of competence. Using good spelling and grammar can be piece of competence when it comes to clients. Now, this can also be your proposals. Your proposals should be well thought out. They shouldn't just be spam. They shouldn't be copy and paste. High degree of competence is the number one thing that's going to attract clients to you. Good clients, by the way, who are not going to try and scam you for the most part. Number 2 is that you need some kind of a foot in the door offer. And a foot in the door offer is where your low rates can come in. Sometimes clients are looking for a deal and they see that you've got a really good profile, you are competent, and you've also got low rates. So that makes you an attractive candidate versus somebody who has a bunch of spelling errors or didn't fill out their bio or just doesn't have any proof that they can do anything. So start with competence, move in to a foot in the door offer. What is that thing? Can you offer something faster for these clients? Can you offer something better? Are you positioned differently from other freelancers? Where they're a generalist, are you a specialist? Do you target a niche? That could be a foot in the door thing. Do you do a specific thing that these clients need very, very badly that other freelancers just aren't talking about or aren't doing? Start to think about that and ask yourself, what can I offer that would make me too good to resist in addition to my competence? A third piece of this, and if you're really struggling to get that foot in the door, is to leverage credibility. Now, everybody has credibility. I know every time I say leverage your credibility, like all these people are like, I don't have any credibility. They say this every time. And I've worked with people who legitimately almost had no credibility, but they had some. It comes from a lot of different places. There are many different things that can make you credible, whether that's your education, past work experience, courses you took in high school, volunteering at the animal shelter, washing somebody's driveway or shoveling snow from someone's driveway. I mean, there's a lot of things, a lot of different ways. People you know in the community, people you've met, places you've been. There's so many possible ways. And if you really don't have credibility, you can go over into Google and type in certifications or training, or go over to Udemy and find a $10 course on whatever it is that you're trying to get some credibility in. Take that course, and now all of a sudden, if you finish that course 100%, you've got a certificate from Udemy that makes you a little bit credible, a little bit more credible than you were. So those 3 things are the beginner level. That's going to be displaying high degree of competence, a foot in the door offer, and then if all else fails, bring in some credibility. More credibility, better. Credibility is really important for building yourself up as a freelancer. Now, this may not be the only way. Every time I say something on this channel, somebody is ready to jump into my comments and be like, well, you said this and I did it this way, or something's different here, and whatever. I don't care. If you got a way that works, do what works. But if your way isn't working, then try my way, because my way gets people results. So that's going to be for your first 1 to 2 months. You should be building up in that way. Do whatever you can to get a foot in the door. Stop being afraid. Stop not taking action. A lot of people just never get a foot in the door because they don't take any action. They get scared. They're afraid to apply to gigs. They think, oh, everything that's out there is too complicated for me. Well, there is something out there for everyone. There's so many clients. There are millions of clients out there. There's something out there for you, so find it. Level 2 is the intermediate level. So after you've done this for 1 to 2 months, you now should have maybe between 2 and 5 pieces of 5-star feedback. So maybe you've done 10 jobs. I don't know how many jobs you can do in a month. Depends on the service you offer and how fast you can deliver it. But once you get past that 2-month mark, you should at least have 2 reviews, 2 positive 5-star ratings that maybe have a review with them. That's preferable. And at that point, and you should be asking clients for reviews, by the way. When you finish up a gig, just reach out to them and be like, hey, is there anything else I can do for you? If not, can we go ahead and close this project, and I'll leave you 5-star feedback, and you can leave me feedback as well. And if you like my service, I would love it if you could offer 5 stars, but I don't know that you can ask for 5 stars on Upwork. Someone double check that. Either way, reach out and ask them for reviews so you can get those. Get 2 to 5 reviews. That's going to help you at this intermediate level. It's 3 months to 6 months, at that 3 month to 6 month range. Now you've got that. You've got a strong profile. Hopefully you started building your profile out. Hopefully you had a fully formed profile whenever you were in that beginner stage, because that is going to be one of the big things that gets you early work. At this level, we're looking at moving up beyond the $10 an hour range. We're looking at anywhere from $15 an hour, I think, to as high as maybe $45, potentially $55 an hour. I don't know that many of you are going to be billing up over $55 an hour at this intermediate stage, but you could be. And of course, if you bill fixed rates, that's a whole different ball game, but I'm just talking hourly pricing. But $15 all the way up to $55, depending on how many pieces of feedback you have, how strong your profile is, how many pieces are in your portfolio, how much credibility you have, all of those things. And at this point, once you reach that 2-month mark, you're going to want to increase your pricing if you haven't done that already. So if you've been at $10 an hour, bump it up to $15 to $20 to $25 an hour. If you've been at $15 an hour, maybe go a little higher, go up to $35 and see what happens. On Upwork, the most important thing that you can do, and you'll see this throughout the lifetime of your time there, is constantly be testing things. Always be testing. A, B, T. I thought there was a C in there somewhere, but always be testing. And you want to be changing things, changing your title from time to time, changing your pricing, and changing your bio, your portfolio pieces up, mixing things up, just constantly testing new things. That is how you are going to find your way up to the top eventually. But at this stage, you are raising your prices a little bit, strengthening your profile in any way possible. So if you only wrote a short profile or a short bio in the early stages, now you want to go back in, maybe redo it completely, beef it up, make it stronger, get more niche down, get a little more targeted, and just build out, call attention to important things. Call attention to past feedback, maybe. Call attention to your portfolio pieces. Do that in your text, in your bio. Maybe say, hey, look at these pieces of feedback here, or look at my portfolio to see if you like my past experience, or here are some different pieces of work and deliverables that I can help you with. You can call attention to anything you want. At this stage, you want to build that portfolio, that profile up and make it a little bit stronger. You want to increase your pricing. You want to start at this stage, especially once you get up probably over $25 an hour. You really want to start to implement some systems. And it doesn't have to be complex systems. This can be very basic systems. You can go over to Google Docs, go into the templates, and find a client service agreement in there. They've got scope of work agreements, client service agreements, basic systems, so that once you get on a call with clients, then after that call, after you've come to some agreement about what you're going to be doing, you send them this work agreement. And clients feel really good when freelancers send them agreements to sign, because first of all, they don't have to come up with an agreement for you to sign, and second of all, it shows a level of professionalism. So that's going to be your systems are not just your agreements, and not every freelancer, again, is going to use agreements, but they add a level of professionalism. So agreements, systems can also be having something like Calendly, so that clients can schedule a call, and so that you're not just like trying to guess at call times or anything. So setting up Calendly to schedule calls, having something like knowing your working process, knowing this is what happens next. When a client asks you, what happens after this, or what's the next step, knowing what is coming for them. If that is agreements, you say, well, I'm going to send you an invoice, or maybe I'm going to send you these agreements, you sign those, and then I'll send you an invoice for your copywriting. You pay that, and then I'll get to work for you, and here's how I work, and here's how long it's going to take, and here's how much it's going to cost, whatever. Whatever your working process is, you should know that. So agreements, working process, maybe call booking system at this stage, those are all going to start to become helpful to pull your environment together so that you can bill these higher rates and feel good about it too. Because in the past, I've told people, you start at these low rates, get a foot in the door, make people an offer too good reviews. After a couple weeks, double your price, keep doubling it. But I think in 2022, because there are so many more freelancers now, you have to add something on top. You have to add something a little bit more. And that more is professionalism. You start to add more professionalism. So when you pay me these prices, you're paying them for a reason. Not only because I'm very good at what I do, but because I make it as effortless as possible. Once you pay me, I take care of these things. You'll instantly get your invoice. You can instantly pay that. You'll instantly get your agreements. You can instantly sign those digitally. You don't have to print them off or do any crazy stuff like that. One last thing I want to mention at this level is about the basics of branding. You should start thinking about your branding a little bit. It doesn't have to be super pulled together here, but the more you pull your branding together, and branding is going to be like the colors, what's in the background. You can see the reds in the background of mine. If you were to search for copywriter on Upwork, you would find my profile pretty quickly, and you'll see my face and you'll see my red background, and you'll notice that throughout my profile, I use similar colors. That's part of branding. It can also be the style of your writing. These are more branding, copywriting, just kind of little touches that add levels of professionalism. In the end, it comes back down to professionalism. Level 3, moving into level 3, we're getting up to expert level now. Now, let's say you've been doing this for a good 3 months. Whatever your skill is, you've been at it for 3 months, offering it to clients. You've maybe got 10 to 15, 10 to 20 clients, somewhere in there, 5 to 10 pieces of good feedback. You're getting pretty knowledgeable and skillful with whatever it is you do. Even if you're new to the skill, you know a lot more than somebody who's just starting out right now. So somebody who just started the skill today versus somebody who has 3 months of experience with the skill, those are two very different people. And assuming that you've been learning and growing throughout that time, you are very much so ready to look like an expert in the eyes of a client versus that other person. And especially if you've built yourself up like I've been talking to you along this path, building up that feedback, meeting the requirements for things like top rated status and 100% job success score, building up your profile and your portfolio, building up and having these systems in place and a little bit of branding. You're ready to move into this expert level status where you can bill upwards of $60 an hour. That could be $70, $80, $90, $100, $150 an hour. Whatever that rate is for you, you are at that point at 3 months. Not everybody is going to be at this point, though. I have to clarify this. I'm not saying that do XYZ, you will get to this place, because a lot of you are going to have other challenges to deal with, mindset challenges. If you're afraid to raise your prices, or if you have self-worth issues where you don't believe that you're worth those higher prices, that's going to be a challenge for you because you just won't raise your prices. You'll be afraid that people aren't going to pay you for it. You'll make excuses why you won't do that. This level, you got lots of reviews, you got your top rated status, you should have 100% JSS by now. I think it's 16 weeks total. So you should, I guess you may not have your JSS or top rated status. Just depends on how long you've been going. So we're talking about between 3 and 6 months moving up into that expert range. Super strong profile. At this point, once you're ready to go expert level, your profile should be really targeted. It should be fully built out. It should be optimized for SEO. I have a couple of different Upwork profile courses on that you can check out on Udemy if you want. Just search for Advanced Upwork Profiles, Volume 1 or 2. Volume 2 is the newer one. Lots of SEO tips in there to get you to the top of search results on Upwork. And there's always people who say, Lex, you're not at the top of search results. Yeah, that happens sometimes. Upwork censors me and other things happen. But we just had that happen this week. Someone tried to call me out on it. I contacted Upwork. They fixed whatever was wrong. I'm back at the top of search results for multiple search terms, including my own name. So you should be getting to this point now. And if you're not there, if your profile is not being found on at least on the first page, it doesn't necessarily have to be at the very top, but if it's not on the first page, then you don't have a strong inflow of clients at this point. Your flow of clients that you're not having to send proposals to is going to be very weak, which makes your life a lot harder, because the more proposals you have to spin, the less time you can work on other things, the background systems that are going to build up under you and support you. So in the early stages, you should be sending not a lot of proposals, but a fair amount of good proposals. And then as you move toward the expert stage, you should eventually switch from sending proposals. You shouldn't even have to send proposals. You should get all of your clients through inbound. They should be finding you in search results. You should be getting promoted by Upwork. And this requires a lot of testing. So you need a super strong profile at this point that is fully filled out. Everything that you can fill out should be filled out in there. You should have maybe a couple of projects set up. You might even try the consulting thing. I don't know. I haven't used that yet, so I won't recommend that. I also haven't used the availability bullcrap. That has had no effect on my ability to pull clients in. But you should be found at the top of search results. Strong portfolio. So I've got over 40 pieces in my portfolio, and if you are at 3 to 6 months, you should have 10, 20, maybe 30 gigs. You can take a little piece of each gig and put that in your portfolio, and that's going to build that up under you into something rock solid. You should have pulled together branding at this point. So mine's pretty pulled together. I've got the colors all kind of match. They match on my profile, they match in my portfolio pieces, and of course they match on my website, which is another thing that you should start to think about at this point. 6 months in, you don't want to put your hands completely in, you don't want to put your business in the hands of Upwork. So you've got Upwork, and Upwork is becoming a good source of clients for you, but you don't want to just be on Upwork. Now you want to start to expand beyond Upwork. You want to have a website, and maybe what's been working for me lately is having a strong LinkedIn portfolio, or profile, where clients are finding me through LinkedIn using basically the same profile that I have on Upwork, and then making their way back to my website through my booking system, and then paying me money through my website. So I'm not losing money to like Upwork. You should have a business email at this point. Sorry, I'm reading stuff off that I wrote down so I can remember it all. But you should have a business email at this point. So if you have a website, you'll have a business email. If you've bought hosting, and if you've got the .com of your website, you'll have a business email. Mine, of course, is lex@lexdeville.com. That is that's one of my business emails. But professional processes, you should have these well defined at this point. If you are using agreements, they should be digitally signed, just like we talked about before. And again, Hello Bonsai is really good for that. So you should know what goes into your agreements, why it's in there. You should make sure that your agreements are not screwing yourself over, like with non-compete and stuff like that. You should have, what else? That's most of the things that you should be doing at this point. So you have a super strong profile. Most of your clients are inbound at this point. You're not having to send proposals really at all, because you've built the systems up around you. And once you get to this point, you should only be taking clients who are a really good fit for you. So this is one of the big changes that you make at the expert level. You have to stop taking every little client, because that's what people do when they start, and that's what they do in the intermediate stages, and that's what they do in the intermediate stages where they get stuck. Is client reaches out to them, they say, oh, client, money, got to take it, and they take it in, and they get started on that project, and that project eats up a lot of their time. It's not worth the pay. All kinds of different things happen. The client isn't a great client, and they just eat your mental resources. So at the expert level, you have to shift that even more. You have to say, okay, I've got this big environment built up around me. I've got a lot of credibility through my feedback, through my past reviews, through this strong portfolio that I've built up, through having a website, through maybe testimonials, whatever those things are. I've got this awesome bio, and I've spent a lot of time on this. I've spent 3 months, 6 months building up to this. So now you have to shift in your mind and say, hey, client, why should I work with you? Why should I accept you? Why are you a good client for me? That's the shift. You prove yourself worthy of me. We go from trying and struggling to prove ourselves worthy of the client to they need to prove themselves to us at this point. Why? Because to take a client that isn't a good fit for you, to take a client that lowballs you on pay or eats up your time or wants free this, that, and the other, those clients are money lost, time lost for other clients. So that's another shift that you have to make at that expert level. Once you make these shifts, And now you have this whole ecosystem built up around you. You're taking a huge amount. Hopefully you've reached the top of search results, and I've got a lot of tips on this channel as well as in my courses for that. But if you've reached the top of search results, then you are getting a lot of invitations. Upwork promotes you more once you're up at those places. So right now I've got my hourly rate, I think, set at $89 an hour. I've had 5 or 6 invitations within the last, 16 hours maybe. I don't know. Less than a day, I've had 5 or 6 invitations through Upwork. I've got multiple calls booked through my website. So I've got 2 calls for today, one in about an hour, one this afternoon, another one in a couple of days, and have a steady flow of this. You can see on the screen I've got 89 recent invitations right now. That should increase here in a little bit when the other ones pick up, and just keeping a steady flow of clients coming in. That's your goal here. I'm not applying to anything. I don't have any proposals that I've sent out there, and I don't have that because I don't need it anymore. Clients are just coming to me and I'm picking through them. I'm saying, okay, here. And at this point, even on my website, I've initiated a $100 call booking fee. So they have to book a call with me before I'll even talk with them, and that's going to be $100. And I've already tested this. We have clients paying this through my website. And then I've instituted a retainer fee that I'm testing right now. I've tested it at the $1,200 price point so far and booked clients through for that. And I've just updated it to be a $2,500 retainer so that I don't want to work with more than maybe 3 clients per month. That's $7,500 a month, almost $8,000. So it's maybe 1 client away from 6-figure income, easy breezy. And this isn't my only business. So I guess that's about the gist of it. In those early stages, you have to leverage what you can. You have to make your profile as strong as possible, make yourself look really competent, do what you can to get a foot in the door. At the intermediate stage, you bump your prices up, you leverage what you've built up to that point to get more clients, to attract more clients, to get views on your proposals, and by talking about clients, about their problems, about the specific solutions and ways that you help them, you're going to be able to level up to that expert level. Once you get to that expert level, though, you have to shift into a different mindset, and you have to think like, I'm not an employee, I'm not a freelancer anymore. Maybe I have to think about, how do I narrow down my clients? How do I let them self-filter? How do I get more niche down? What specialized services do I offer? How do I upgrade my training? Do I need to go back to school and get some degrees? I did, and that has seriously helped me. I don't like the idea of college. I'm not a promoter of college, but I didn't have any degrees when I started on Upwork, and then now I have degrees. It's very easy. It's much easier to sell myself for like psychology stuff because that's what my degrees are in. You just have to make different shifts at the top level. But you can, once you make those shifts and you change your mindset and you say, you prove yourself to me. Why are you worthy of me? And then clients will do that because they want you to take them on that journey. They want to pay you money for that. They want to just have an effortless experience and have a good experience and not have to deal with all the BS that comes with dealing with not expert clients. There are businesses out there making millions and billions of dollars, and they've got money to spend, and they do hire freelancers now. So be thinking about that. If you guys have any questions for me, I guess drop them in a comment down below. I'm sure there's like a million things I'm forgetting, but in a general sense, this is kind of the path to reaching that expert level and to creating a nice full-time income for yourself, or even a 6-figure income if you want to bump it up a level. There's different ways to do that. If you are doing this full-time, like I only freelance a few hours per week. I only write in the mornings between usually like, I'm going to say 2:30 and maybe 8 a.m. And I'm not doing that every day. And still, I'm making plenty of money to make this worth my time. And so I'm not rich. I never claim to be. I always have to state that because people come in here and act like I'm some guru saying, like, I don't know, trying to push a $10,000 course or something when most of my courses are like $9 to $14. But you can go find those if you want. I probably won't even link them. It's still doable. Upwork is still doable in 2022. You can still get in there. You can still make a lot of money. Clients are still paying for all of these different services. Good services right now. NFTs, crypto, anything like that. Some political stuff, maybe government contracting. Anything related to government contracting is probably going to be good, at least especially for within the US because of all the stuff going on in the world. But that's maybe a topic for another time. if you are struggling to get started on Upwork, review this video, revisit it, think about what I've said here today, think about the different areas that you can look at and have success in, or maybe areas where you can change things. I'm constantly changing things on my account, on my profile, and by constantly changing things, I've been able to build up a really powerful profile. I've been able to bring it to the top of search results for my search term, for my name, and also for multiple other search terms. And that has allowed me to pull in a steady flow of high-paying clients. There are other things that I do. I don't know, I probably won't talk about those on this video, but if you have any questions, drop them in a comment down below. You're always welcome in our Discord. It's not always like super hyped up, crazy chatting, but we are in there talking about stuff, freelance stuff, helping solve problems in there. I think that's all I got for this one. I'm Lex DeBill. I'll see you next time.